Hi again, guys. I hope you're doing well. One thing I thought of while I was making these is I hope you guys know that I wash my clothes and I don't just have a couple outfits. I sometimes make these videos back to back, so I might be wearing the same outfit I was last week, but actually in my time, I just did that last video like 5 minutes ago. So I promise I washed my clothes. Anyway, so this week's a big week because this week, week 4, is where you're going to do your embedded assessment, and you also have a couple other little assignments. So you're going to be writing an essay this week. You're going to be defining what it means to be an American in your essay this week. So big week. You also have a couple other assignments, but I tried to keep them a little bit easier. They're mainly reading assignments, and all these reading articles, these poems, these pictures, all these things we've been looking at are things you can use in your definition essay. So that's why we've given you so much reading material, is because you're going to need quotes from all that stuff to help you define what it means to be an American. All right? So first, in Springboard Activity 1.9, it's called What is Freedom? You've got a little graphic organizer. You're going to read two things. You're going to read the 4 freedoms, and you're also going to read the Declaration of Independence. While you're reading the 4 freedoms, I want you to write down what the 4 freedoms are. There's a graphic organizer for you to do that. So fill in that graphic organizer of what the 4 freedoms are, and do that while you're reading the 4 freedoms. And then when you're reading the Bill of Rights, I want you to pull text details from the Bill of Rights that represent each of those 4 freedoms. All right? So fill in the graphic organizer. You need to be doing that while you read both the 4 freedoms and the Bill of Rights. Now, Springboard Activity 1.10, it says strategies for defining freedom. So you are going to read the definition of freedom, and while you're reading that, you have this graphic organizer to fill out as well. So we're going to work on defining what freedom means by negation. That means telling me what freedom is not. So you're going to write that in the area there on the graphic organizer. By function, that's telling me what freedom does. So as you read that, write down what freedom does in that section. And then it also says what are some examples of freedom. So remember, exemplification is another way to define. And then lastly, the classification. So what are the types of freedom? So as you read the definition of freedom, fill out that graphic organizer. That'll help you define what freedom is, and also give you practice using negation and function and classification and exemplification. All right? In Springboard Activity 1.10, it also talks about transitions. There isn't an assignment regarding transitions, but you will have to use transitions when you write your essay or any other essay or paragraph. Transitions help things flow smoothly. If you don't use transitions, it's going to be really difficult for your reader to follow your points, and really difficult for them to read through what you're trying to say because it just won't flow. It'll be really challenging to read. So there are some transitional words here that are used to prove something. So you are going to define what it means to be an American. You kind of have to prove your definition. So these might be some good transition words for you to use. There's a list of them here. Because, since, for the same reason, obviously, evidently, besides, indeed, in any case. So use those little phrases. They can go at the beginning of a sentence, in the middle of a sentence. Just kind of read it back to yourself. You always want to read what you write to make sure it makes sense. So read it and see how those transitions make it flow. If it's not flowing, then change your transition or change where you're putting it. And remember how we talked about varying sentence starters the other week? Transitions are a good way to do that. Also, you want to use transitions when you give examples. So for example, for instance, those are great ones, but there's also some other cool ones. In this case, on this occasion, in this situation, to demonstrate, take the case of, I like that one. As an illustration, to illustrate this point. Those are all transitions that you can use to give an example. All right, so if you're defining by exemplification, those would be great ones to use. All right, so that's just kind of informational for you. Now, you're going to write your essay. All right, so I've got a format here in the announcements and the class assignments for you guys to follow. This is going to be a 5-paragraph essay. All right, so you're going to have an intro. Before you get started, you're going to wind up with 3 body paragraphs. So 3 different components of your definition of what it means to be an American. So I've got a graphic organizer for you. On one side, you can list different characteristics, at least 3 different characteristics that contribute to the definition of being an American. So if you think an American is this, this, and that, put those in that left-hand column, all right? Like if you think Americans are determined, you might write determination in one of those columns. Then you always need text evidence, right? So if you put determination as one of the characteristics of being an American, now you need to find me quotes, at least 2, for each of your characteristics from any story, any poem, any essay, any image that we have used in this story, or the image that you found when you did that research. All right, so each characteristic should have at least 2 text references. All right, they could be from the same text if you wanted, but different texts would create a fuller argument or fuller support. So I've got the format here. In your intro, you need at least 5 sentences introducing what it means to be an American. Think of also what you need in an intro. You want to grab your reader. You want to make them want to read this essay. So start with an interesting fact or an interesting realization or a question that might grab them. And in your intro, you also need your thesis, where you're going to state very clearly what you believe defines an American, okay? And then you're going to spend the rest of your paragraphs supporting that definition. In your body paragraphs, like I said, you'll need 3, each about a different characteristic, each defining a different characteristic that contributes to what it means to be an American. You need a topic sentence introducing that characteristic. You need a quote from anything we've read or looked at. Then you need your commentary. So tell me why that quote or that detail from the image or that passage supports that characteristic of what it means to be an American. Why is that quote significant to your characteristic or your definition of what it means to be an American? Then you're going to repeat that process. We call this a 2-chunk paragraph. So you have a topic sentence, you have a quote that you comment on and tell me why that quote's important and significant, and then another quote and tell me why that quote's important or significant, and then wrap it all up with a conclusion. Then in the next body paragraph, go on to your next characteristic that contributes to your definition. All right? Lastly, you're going to have a conclusion paragraph. I want you to reiterate what your definition of being an American is, and leave us with some inspiring conclusions, some inspiring words about how great it is to be an American, how powerful what power that gives us, that kind of sounds like evil in a way. I didn't mean it like that. What like great things do we have about being Americans? So end with like encompassing your definition and leaving your reader with something greater because they've read your essay. All right, so your essay is done. You've completed unit 1 of our English class so far. Now what they want you to do is preview the second part of it. So you're gonna look at Springboard Activity 1.11. This part is easy, I promise. You're probably going, oh my gosh, I just wrote an essay and I have to do more. This part is easy. So you're just going to preview the embedded assessment. The next thing you guys are going to have to do in the next unit, which ends at week 6, so the next unit is only 2 weeks long. In week 6, you guys are going to be asked to write an argumentative essay. So I want you to write down, there's this little graphic organizer here. You're going to write an argumentative essay about the American dream. So we've all heard of the American dream. You're going to write an argumentative essay about it. So I want you to tell me on one side of this column that's here in your announcements that you are going to fill out. I want you to tell me what you need to know in order to write an argumentative essay about the American dream. Do you need to figure out what exactly the American dream is? Do you need to do some research on that? What do you need to know? Then on the right-hand side, I want you to tell me what skills you need. Maybe you're not quite sure how to write an argumentative essay. Maybe you need to know how to synthesize different articles into one essay. How do I get 5 different articles information into my essay? How do I do that? That might be something you need to write down. All right, so just write a couple things. It's just geared to get you thinking about that argumentative essay so you know what the end goal is. All right. Then there's this little survey. So there's a bunch of, I didn't even count them. There's a bunch of little sentences. Education is the foundation of a free society. Or individuals' rights are superior to the needs of a society. You're going to go through each of those sentences and rate them 1 to 10. All right, 1 meaning you don't agree, 10 meaning you totally agree, and then wherever in between. So you're just going to go through and write a 1 through a 10, just a number by each of those statements, okay? Then you're going to answer these questions. What is something you notice about your ranking? So after you ranked all those, what is something you noticed? Did you rank high on certain ones and low on certain ones? Do you see a theme? Like you tend to score higher these statements versus those statements? And then, what is one statement you think is an important part of the American dream? So if you could pick any one of those statements, there's a few on the announcements, then which one do you think is the most important to the American dream? All right? So those last two things are pretty easy. The big thing I want you guys to focus on this week is that essay, and I'm here to help you. So if you're like, I don't even know where to start, come see me or call me or email me and we'll figure it out together, all right? I don't want you to feel overwhelmed or feel like you can't do this, because we can do it. Trust me, all right? So I will see you guys next week. Good luck with this, and take care, all right? Bye-bye.